everyone, and welcome to this unboxing slash trying out Holbein Acrylic Gouache video. Ignore my gross sweater there, that's because that's my painting sweater, where I don't mind if I get paint on it. But in any case, this is a little bit of a special treat. My birthday was last Sunday, and I really wanted to get this set, so I decided to buy it with the money I got from my birthday. And I'm really excited to work with these paints. They're super pretty and they have such a nice blendable quality, and just look at all the pretty colors. I'm so excited. Anyway, let's get to sketching and painting something. So for the two mini paintings, yes, I'm actually doing two in this video, I was kind of mainly inspired by just the fact that it's February, you know, you gotta have your cheesy Valentine stuff. So I started with like this kind of simple sweetheart design. I kind of wanted to do something relatively, you know, easy to handle when I'm first trying out new paints. Also, there was this YouTuber, and I forgot by heart, but I'll put the name on screen, who taught me this nifty little trick. She made it work with a butcher pan, but I can confirm that properly rinsed out Chinese takeout containers work just as well for this little trick, because when I was looking up reviews for this specific paint, a lot of people were saying that it dries out very quickly because it is an acrylic paint, even though it works and blends the way gouache does, but it dries down and then you cannot reactivate it anymore. So someone basically said if you take a paper towel and you wet it and you put the paper towel in the container, then you wet it and you squeeze out the excess moisture, and then you put over a sheet of baking paper or wax paper, I don't know what to call it, but same thing. It will keep the paint wet for hours, and I tried it out. It works amazing. I was genuinely surprised. I didn't know that that was an option, but I'm very glad that it is. It means that I'm wasting less paint, and I can use the paint that I put down for a much longer working time, which is incredibly nice. And I am just so impressed with these paints. They are so smooth. I think this is absolutely the first time I've gotten artist quality grade traditional media, however you want to call it. And I can really tell the difference. Like, yes, this was incredibly spendy, and I had to close my eyes when I clicked on the purchase button, but you can really feel like the difference in quality. It blends so nice, it is so smooth, it applies just like a dream. Like, I'm so excited. It's so nicely pigmented, and I could just mix the colors in the exact way I wanted to, and it's just wonderful to work with. Not sponsored, but I wish I was. Yeah, like, these paints are such a joy to work with. I've been making a bunch of miniature paintings over the past few days now, just because it's so nice to work with. All the other paints that I've had before, like I've had some watercolors, which are nice. Like, don't get me wrong, the watercolors that I have are nice, but they're student grade, so they're not like super duper fancy. I have some regular gouache, but also on the cheaper side of the spectrum. And this is, like I said, this is really the first time I've gotten some more expensive paints that I've really splurged on it, and just the difference is staggering. I really didn't think it would be such a big difference, but maybe it's also just specifically this brand. I've heard good things about this specific paint, and it's wonderful. I like it very much. I'm very happy that I made this purchase. But yeah, so like I said, I was kind of inspired by a little bit of a tacky slash traditional Valentine's mood. So I decided to start off with the love heart because it's a pretty simple design, and I thought it would be a good idea to start off with some really simple subjects just to kind of get the hang of how these paints worked. But I have to say, I personally just didn't have any complications while working with these paints. So yeah, now we're moving on to the second design that I did, which is slightly more complex. I'm not going to say like, oh, it's so much more complicated, but it's slightly more complex than the previous one. I had this idea in mind, and I do think it turned out really cute. I was thinking about like the more old-timey phone horns, and when I say old-timey, I tend to think of the really, really old ones, but alas, I'm past my mid-20s now, so this is a slightly more modern old-timey phone horn, but you know what I mean. With a heart coming out of it. And originally, I'll be honest, I wanted it to come out of the speaker, but then it would be at the top, and I just really didn't think that benefited the composition. So in the end, I did make it come out of like the microphone part, but we're just gonna ignore that because this is art, and in art there are no rules, right? What I'm also just really grateful for is that owning these paints are now making it a little easier for me to stick to my very unofficial New Year's resolution. I don't really do New Year's resolutions because I feel like I never really actually stick to them. But I kind of just had it in the back of my mind that I really wanted to do more traditional this year. I've gotten a lot more confident in my digital art skills, and I feel like because I'm more confident in my digital art skills, I feel a little bit more secure experimenting with traditional media. I'm not saying that I'm done growing with digital art, far from, but I do feel like a bit more confident in the way that I handle shapes and the way that I draw shapes. And I feel like I can do, you know, really stable lines, which make it a little bit easier for me to dive into traditional media, which does feel a little bit more intimidating because, you know, there is no Ctrl-Z. I know that seems a bit silly, but yeah, like, if I want to change this, then I gotta paint over it, which I must say, maybe that's also why I'm so drawn to acrylic gouache, is because it's so incredibly pigmented that even if I do mess up, I can pretty easily paint over it and fix it. That's always like my biggest fear with like regular translucent watercolors, because it's harder to undo. Like, you can soak some of it up with water, but then you might also damage the paper, you know? And I feel like working with this media on these wood slices just makes it a lot easier for me to try stuff out, you know? I also really briefly want to mention that this is in no way, shape, or form a comprehensive review of these paints. First off, because I just started using them. Second off, because I really don't feel qualified to review paints, since, as I mentioned earlier, these are literally the first artist grade paints that I own. So I don't know anything about formulas. I don't know anything about, you know, how it's actually produced. So I have no idea how an expert would judge these paints, but based on my personal experience working with them for this short while, they're really smooth. They apply like butter, like they're great in that regard. And they're so pigmented and so pretty, and that's about as much of a judgment call as I'm gonna make on these. I'm just really excited to be making more pieces and more small wood slice paintings with these paints. That sounds a bit silly, but would like to mention, if you are interested in this piece or the other piece from the video, or some other pieces that are not in this video, I will be listing these on my website for sale. They should be up today when this video releases, and yeah, they're all just singular pieces, one of a kind, so when they're gone, they're gonna be gone for good. So if you're interested in one of the pieces, please check the link down in the description. And I really hope you enjoyed this video, even though it was a lot more rambly and less structured than my other videos. I'll be honest, I tend to not use a script at all. Usually I just do a million takes until I sort of get what I want, but today I just decided to have a little chitty chat and see where that would take me. In any case, I do have some more videos in the works, some that take a little bit more time to produce, so I hope to have it up next week, but we shall see. In any case, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, leaving a comment if you have any questions or comments, and or subscribing if you feel like it. I am trying to stick to somewhat of a schedule, but I don't want to make any promises yet. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all later. Enjoy the rest of this painting. Bye-bye!